Okay, I've had a few people request some like old band stories, so here's an old band story for you. This was back in 1997, I believe. It was at the Almazuma CD release gig at the Fat Cat Lounge right there at Edgewood and Roosevelt. I think it's Fishware Brewery nowadays. I think it's in the same building. Uh, but anyway, uh, we were doing CD release that night. Packed house. We were hanging out in the green room right when it opened up right onto the stage. Uh, but I had grabbed some sports coats from the house. They were all my dad's sports coats. I had them in a closet at home, and I actually got them. I lived next door to my sister at the time, and she called me up on the telephone one day and said, "Hey, I got all these old sports coats out in the garage that used to be Dad's. Do you want them? They're all from the 70s, 60s, and 70s." I was like, "Yeah, sure, I'd love to have them, you know." And I actually still wear the blue leisure suit that was in there to this day, occasionally. There was a canary yellow one, but somehow or another that one got lost. But anyway, back to the story. I come over to her house, grabbed the sports coats. There's probably, I don't know, 15, 20 of them, maybe more. Brought them home, put them in the closet, forgot about them. So we had the CD release party gig, and on the way out, when we were loading out, because we used to practice at my house, I grabbed, probably a dozen or so of those sports coats, so the horn players and whoever else, if they want a sports coat, they just throw them on and go on the stage looking cool. So I grabbed them, threw them in the van, drove up to the Fat Cat, took them inside, hung them up in the green room, and right before the show, there were probably about 15 or so people hanging out in the green room, band and everything. So people are going through them, trying them on and everything. And so my boy Eric Mason, who was playing percussion with us at the time, he grabs one, puts it on. Says, "Oh, there's something in the pocket." So he reaches there and pulls out a dildo. Actually, it was a vibrator, but for practical purposes, a dildo. So sitting there in a room full of 15 people, the only thing I could say, and everybody in there knew they were my jackets, obviously, so I'm just like, "It's my sister's," and I'm sure everybody in there was like, "Sure, it was your sister's dildo," but anyway, and actually, in reality, it actually was my sister's dildo, but anyway, Eric probably went and disinfected, hung the jacket up, and tried another one on. But next day, I was at home, and when I got home, or when I woke up or whatever, I got the sports coat, got some tongs, took the dildo out, and put it in a big manila envelope, sealed it, and walked over to my sister's mailbox next door, stuck it in her mailbox, and went back inside and called her up on the telephone and said, "Hey, you need to go check your mailbox." So she goes out and checks her mailbox, comes back in, and calls me back a few minutes later on the telephone, and it's like, "Oh my God, where was that? I hope nobody saw it." And I was like, "Well, remember all those sports coats you gave me a while back?" And she's like, "Oh my God, I forgot all about it." So I was like, "You're all good, but yeah, a few people seen it." But anyway, she's no longer with us. But I thought that was a really fucking awkward moment and a funny story. But that's a bad story. Y'all have a great day. Bye.